Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Hope you've enjoyed your Christmas or however you've spent your holidays. So I have plenty of movies to be getting on with as it is, but nonetheless I did go to two of the video stores that are in Vancouver, Video Cat and Videomatica, as they were having Christmas sales on. So let's just show you what I picked up. So 3 DVDs that I picked up in Video Cat. First one was this one, The Innkeepers, which is directed by Ty West from 2011. Ty West, perhaps best known at the moment for doing the films X and Pearl, and he's got Maxine coming out in 2024. Now, I'd previously seen The House of the Devil from 2009 and had quite liked that. But yeah, The Innkeepers certainly sounds interesting. 2 employees at a New England inn that's about to close down decide to investigate its 100-year history of hauntings. Yeah, sounds an interesting one, The Innkeepers. Next, from 1966, and I like a bit of frivolity, this is The Glass Bottom Boat, and it stars Doris Day as a swimming mermaid who works for a glass bottom boat tour company, and she hooks up with NASA research scientist played by Rod Taylor, and then becomes suspected as a spy. All going to be very silly, I'm sure, but yeah, I like this kind of 60s caper. Next up is this film, and actually I didn't get this one in Video Cat, I got it elsewhere, but yeah, this is Kandahar from 2001, so not the Gerard Butler film that came out last year, very different film. This concerns a Afghanistan-born lady living in Canada who receives a note from her sister who is still in Afghanistan, commenting that she's preparing to commit suicide, and so the sister takes a perilous journey to Afghanistan to try and find her. So yeah, this one appeared at Cannes in 2001. It's been on the 2005 Time list of the top 100 movies of all time, and it's also been included on Stephen Schneider's 1001 movies you must see before you die. So Kandahar, we'll see what this is like. Now, next up is the Blu-rays that I picked up from Videomatica in Vancouver. So they have a recently traded in section, and I was quite surprised to find a couple of Indicator titles there, and I think that they must have been traded in because these were both Region B titles. So yeah, I was able to get them because I do have a multi-region Blu-ray player. But yeah, first up is this one, the Vache Papers from 1972, directed by Terence Young and starring Charles Bronson. The two of them had worked together previously on Cold Sweat and Red Sun, but yeah, this has Charles Bronson as a sort of gangster who's imprisoned for drug trafficking and then finds out that the mafia still want him dead. So yeah, the Vache Papers. And then the next one is also with Charles Bronson, and this is the Valdez Horses from 1973, which is also known as Chino. And this was the final Western that was directed by John Sturgis, and it also co-stars Charles Bronson's wife, Jill Ireland. So yeah, pleased to find this. Next up, quite curious to find this one. It's a BFI release. Actually, Videomatica had it in their stock for quite some time, but yeah, I now got it at a sale price. So yeah, this is The Other Side of the Underneath, a British film that was directed by Jane Arden in 1972 and adapted from her own work called Holocaust. It's a kind of avant-garde, surreal, experimental drama about women in therapy and schizophrenia, issues like that. Quite a controversial film, and definitely there's mixed opinion on what it is like, whether it is of good quality or bad quality. So I'll decide that for myself. This BFI release contains quite a lot of extras about it as well. So yeah, Jane Arden made this in 1972. Unfortunately, she committed suicide only 10 years later in 1982. Next up is this one from 1965, La Donna del Lago, also known as The Possessed, and this is co-directed by Luigi Bazzoni, who also directed The Fifth Chord with Franco Nero, and also directed by Franco Rossellini. This is his sole directing credit. He's actually better known as a producer, and he was a producer on films that included Django from 1966, Pasolini's The Decameron and Teorema, as well as Caligula as well, funnily enough. And yeah, this one involves a novelist who goes to a resort and then starts investigating the disappearance of previous girlfriend that he had been infatuated with. So it's described as something of a film noir crossed with a giallo, crossed with a bit of Antonioni. All sounds very curious and interesting. So yeah, I look forward to seeing this. The star in this one is played by Peter Baldwin, and he had also starred in a film with Barbara Steele called Lo Spettro. Next up is this one from 1926, a silent film, a western, and it's directed by John Ford. This is Three Bad Men. So yeah, this kind of treads similar grounds to a film that John Ford did later on in his career, which was Three Godfathers, but they are different stories. This is about three outlaws who come to the aid of a young girl. The young girl in this is played by Olive Borden, a silent movie actress, and in 1925-1926 she was at the height of her success, had made 18 films during those 2 years, but very sadly for her, her career did not last much longer. Her final film was in 1934, and then by the age of 40 she was unfortunately destitute and died of stomach ailments in a Skid Row housing association. So a very sad ending for her. But yeah, I look forward to seeing this western, Three Bad Men. And next up, curious to see this one, A Small Town in Texas. This is from 1976. It's directed by Jack Starrett, who was involved in quite a few sort of exploitation type movies, low budget movies as well. So his other directing credits include Race with the Devil, starring Peter Fonda and Warren Oates, as well as Cleopatra Jones. And he's also been an actor in films such as First Blood and Blazing Saddles. But I got this one really because of my interest in Susan George, and particularly her 70s movie career, which I find very interesting. So I find the fact that she went from a sort of little scene British drama called Spring and Port Wine that co-starred James Mason into films such as Sam Peckinpah's Straw Dogs, and then all these kind of wild movies that she was making in the 70s, which included Sonny and Jed, a really interesting western that co-stars Thomas Milian, and Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry, which she made with Peter Fonda. So yeah, some definitely interesting movies that Susan George was making in the 70s. So I haven't seen this one. I look forward to seeing it. And then finally, one which I'm very, very pleased to have found. So I talked the other day about having picked up this Mexican cinema movie, The Skeleton of Mrs. Morales. But I made reference to the fact that Indicator have this box set out, which I at that time didn't have. But now I do, and it's this one, the Mexico Macabre set. I've been wanting to get my hands on this for quite some time, so luckily I was able to get this in Videomatica's sale. Very pleased to have done so. So the only movie I have seen before that's from this set is The Witch's Mirror, which I enjoyed immensely. So yeah, I will definitely look forward to seeing these. Now I know on his channel, Cobweb's channel, he's just recently talked about the best movies of the year that were new to him, and he included in his selection The Black Pit of Dr. M as one of his favourites from this year. Another friend of the channel, Solitary Ronin Films, he's a completist when it comes to Indicator, and so he has certainly championed this set before as well. But yeah, just to briefly show you what's inside. Again, great packaging, and here are the titles. The Witch's Mirror, The Brainiac, and The Curse of the Crying Woman. And then also included in the set are a series of art cards, as well as this tremendous thick booklet as well. Okay, so there we have it. Those are my Christmas haul pickups. Please let me know in the comments what you think of those films, whether you have seen them, whether you know them, whether any are of interest to you. I always look forward to seeing your comments. I appreciate those very much. Thanks very much for watching this one. I will see you again. Okay, all the best to you. Bye-bye.